Okay, so today we're going to be talking about multiplying decimals. And this should be on page 31 in your notebook. Okay, so to multiply decimals, how do we multiply decimals? First of all, we do not line up the decimals. Okay, so in adding and subtracting we line up the decimals, but in multiplying we do not line up the decimals. We're going to multiply like whole numbers. We're going to count the decimals in both factors. Factors are the numbers you multiply. And we're going to move the decimals that many spaces in the answer. So example number 1. Example number 1 is 4 8/10 times 7 2/10. So they multiplied just like whole numbers. And then in the end, they counted how many spaces do they have in the 4 8/10 and how many spaces or decimal places do we have in 7 2/10. Well, that's 1 on top, 1 on the bottom. So altogether, they're going to move 2 spaces to the left. Okay. Example number 2. Find 3 1/10 times 5 hundredths. So again, they multiply just like normal whole numbers. There's 1 decimal place value on the top and 2 on the bottom. So altogether, they're going to move 3 spaces to the left in the answer. Okay, so let's try a couple together. So we have 5 and 31 hundredths times 2 and 4/10. So I'm just going to write them vertically. Remember, I'm going to worry about lining up the decimal places in multiplication. Then I would multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. And then I have to have a 0 for placeholder. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10. And then I would add. So 4, 4, 7, 2, and 1. So then I go back and I say, well, how many decimal places do I have in the first factor? So I have 1, 2. And that's 2 decimal places. And how many do I have in the second factor? That's 1. That's 1. So total I have 3. So I'm going to move 3 decimal places to the left. 1, 2, 3. So my decimal is right here. Okay? Okay, number 2, 5 and 4 hundredths times 8 hundredths. So again, I'm going to just write them vertically. I do not have to worry about lining up the decimals. Okay? 4 times 8 is 32. Carry the 3. 8 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. 5 times 4 is 40. Need a placeholder. So 4 times 0 is 0. 0 times 0 is 0. 5 times 0 is 0. Add. And then I get my sum. Okay. On the number of decimal places in the top number, which is 2. And the bottom number, which is 2. So I'm going to do 4 decimal places total to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my decimal is right there. Okay? Alright, I have 3x for x equals 1 97 hundredths. So that means multiply. So I have 3 times 1 97 hundredths. Okay? I'm just going to write it vertically. And then I'm going to multiply. 7 times 3 is going to be 21. 9 times 3 is 27 plus 2 is 29. 1 times 3 is 3 plus 2 is 5. And how many decimal places do I have? 1, 2, and 2 on the top number, and 0 on the bottom number. So I move a total of 1, 2 decimal places. Okay. Okay. So let's take a look at this one right here. 5 and 8/10 plus 12 and 3/10 times 3. So order of operations. Okay? Order of operations tells me I have to multiply the 12 and 3/10 times the 3. Okay? So again, I'm going to write this vertically. Don't worry about lining up the decimal places. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, how many decimal places do I have? I have a total of 1 decimal place. so I move it over. Okay? I'm going to take the 36 and 9/10 and I'm going to add it to the 5 and 8/10. So then we're adding decimals. So remember, in adding decimals, we do have to line them up. Okay? Lining up my decimal places. Bring the decimal straight down in your answer. 8 plus 9 is 7. And then we have 12. And then 42 and 7/10 is my total, or my answer. Okay? So number 5, Steve went shopping for new school clothes. He purchased 5 shirts for $12.98 each. How much money did he spend? So again, I'm going to multiply. He spent $12.98 on each shirt. How many shirts did I have? He purchased 5 of them. Okay. So 8 times 5 is 40, carry the 4. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 4 is 49. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 1 is 66. Or, it's going to be 6. So, how many decimal places do I have? In my first number is 2. Okay, and my second number I don't have any. So the total number of decimal places I move in my answer is 2. So we spent $64.90 on 5 shirts. Okay, so the last problem, number 6. We have Elizabeth has $112.50 in savings. Her brother has 4 times as much savings. How much money do they have all together? So it sounds like I'm going to add them together. But first I have how much Elizabeth has plus how much her brother has. Means how much money she has. They have together. Okay? So Elizabeth has $112.50. Her brother has 4 times as much as Elizabeth. Okay? So if Elizabeth has $112.50, I'm going to take that and multiply it by 4 because that'll get her brother. Okay? So order of operations says I have to multiply $112.50 times 4 first. So I'm going to do that down here. So $112.50 times 4. Okay, so that's 0, 20. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 2 times 8 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, so in my first factor, I got 2 decimal places. Okay, in my second one, I have none. So I do 2 total decimal places. I'm going to move over to the left. So that means her brother has $450. Okay, so I have $450, and I have to add that to Elizabeth. Okay, so now I'm going to add $112.50 plus $450. So since I'm adding, I now have to line up my decimal places. So I have $112.50 plus $450. And so all together, they should have $562 together. And that concludes our notes on multiplying decimals. So you also need to make sure that you do the U-try problems on this side of the paper. So there's going to be 8 U-try problems. So that's number 7 through number 14. It's all multiplying decimals. Okay, so make sure you complete those on your own and be prepared to talk about them tomorrow. Okay, thanks. Have a great day.